So we are very happy that you could join us today for our Space Convo series. So we intend to have series of conversations about the African space sector, mostly to enlighten people to have this comfortable environment where we can learn and grow. And sorry about that. Okay, so today's conversation is about the future of human space flight in Africa. So earlier this month, we celebrated the Human Spaceflight, the International Day of Human Spaceflight, on the 12th of April. So it's a day set aside to celebrate our victories in the space industry, to commemorate the first space flight, and of course, it always goes hand in hand with Yuri's night. So it was very exciting, and I think that's what actually inspired this conversation, because so much as there's a lot of celebration going on, a lot of international recognition and flair to the whole day, over here in Africa, we really couldn't, to me, I think we really couldn't connect so much, because in terms of space, yes, we are making progress, but when it comes to human space flight, to be precise, I think there's so much more that we are here to explore in that area. And that is why we're having this conversation today. So a little bit about our speaker. Our speaker is Abraham Akinwale, guest speaker. Like I said, it's not a webinar, but just so that you know him better, he's the Human Resource Coordinator for the Space Generation Advisory Council. Oh, it's live. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And he's a really big inspiration to us here in the Nigerian space sector. He was the former national point of contact, and he has won the African Space Generation Leadership Award in 2018. And he's founder of Open Innovation Africa, and he helps the space businesses. He's really big in the space industry, and personally, I'm very glad that he's here to talk about this with us. And so thank you so much for coming, Abraham. You could unmute your mic.
Thank you so much for having me, Nani. I really appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. So for every other person joining us, like I said, it's a conversation. So you are free to drop your questions on the chat box so that you don't forget them. But then after this session, we are going to take more questions from the audience as we go along. So if I'm going to allow you to have the floor, so I'll put off my camera for a while, but then I'll be asking you a series of questions, and it's mostly like a conversation. So I hope you go with the flow and enjoy the series.
That's
okay.
Fine.
Okay, so we are going to start right away. So I think first off, I want to know, I have a law background, as you already know. So when we talk about human space flight, what does it entail, especially for us that may not be very familiar with the scientific aspect of space flight? So when we talk about human space flight, what does it entail, and how is it different from other space endeavors?
Thank you so much, Nelly. I really appreciate having me here, and thanks to everybody that has taken their time to join us. It's really something really good to do. To just put it first as an introduction, definitely we know that space flight in general, whether it's human or non-human, it's more of a different endeavor going outside the Earth orbit, going outside the Earth as a space bar, as a spaceship. We travel with a taxi called, it's more like you whistle as a taxi, and that is your rocket. So that is your engine that takes you from Earth outside of the Earth atmosphere, and whatever is your payload determines, what kind of travel you are having. And also your target determines your payload. So if it's non-human, for instance, I know majority of people here know about the International Space Station. That is the station built by the Americans. It's harbors, astronauts, cosmonauts around the world, and they take humans to the International Space Station, every now and then, but also they take supplies to the International Space Station, projects, food, research. So depending on what type of travel you're making, it determines your payload. Your payload also determines your taxi. So in that sense, if you're going far, you have a different type of taxi. If you're going, short, like if you're just sending a satellite to space, that's a different type of taxi. So people have sent satellites to space. We've sent a telescope to space. We've sent we've sent rovers to asteroids, to Mars. But the journey of sending humans to space is a very different thing. We've sent monkeys to space, we've sent dogs to space, but humans is a different thing because you can take risks with inhuman objects. It's a different ball game when you want to send humans to space. Nobody really wants to die. As much as people sign off the contract when you want to become an astronaut because it's what everybody wants to do, but at the end of the day, nobody really wants to die. So the safety measures that has to do with sending humans to space is a different thing entirely, which was why it was a very, very unique, achievement when there was that forced space travel by the cosmonaut from Russia, Yuri Gagarin, who became the first man and then went to space, and which is something we now celebrate every year in April. It became a different ballgame for the entire planet because now people know that you can't just do anything anyhow anymore. You can't just risk projects anyhow anymore. When you want to send humans to space, it takes extra safety precautions, and which is the more reason why it has become a very difficult endeavor for nations of the world to achieve. The majority of the countries in the world now have sent satellites to space. Almost any active, let me say, powerful country in the world now has a satellite in space, which has majorly become a part of our daily lives, which we might talk about, in the conversation as we go. But the idea of sending humans to space is a different thing. It's a different level of security attached to it. It's a different level of safety attached to it. And as much as you want to talk about it, it's a very limited availability of space attached to it because not everybody is sending people to space. Not everybody has that capability, and not all the government. So in the age now, the major space actors have been the government and the industry. Recently, we are now having more of industry engagement compared to the way we had, government engagement. And thanks to NASA and so many other space agencies, we are now having more funding for private sectors to develop commercial space. And even up to that, not a lot of countries have that capability yet. We can say the US, obviously, with SpaceX and Boeing and some other places, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic. You can say with China and Russia. Those are the three major countries in the world right now that they can say maybe their commercial space is really doing something really great with their government agency. So it's a different ballgame entirely, and it's a whole lot of conversations to it. It's not just something you just jump into because it has to deal with human life.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think just a quick one before I go to my next question. So does it mean that at the moment, the only destination for human space flight is the International Space Station, just the ISS?
I mean, for sustainability for a longer period of staying in space, yes. People travel to space. You can orbit the Earth within 24 hours, a few hours, and come back to Earth. Like we've seen a lot of space flights recently. You might have heard of the Virgin Galactic sending what is his name?
Richard Branson, I think.
Richard Branson. You heard of recently Blue Origin sending Jeff Bezos and some of his crews, and now we are having a lot of other people going to space. So you can have those short flights where people go to space, experience zero gravity, experience the beauty of seeing the outer space layer of the Earth, you know, and that's just that experience. So all the short trips, yes, you can have people going and coming without getting to the ISS. But if you want to stay, if you want to stay for a longer period of time, the ISS for now is the only station in orbit. I know the Chinese are working on their own space station, which might be getting, you know, active, you know, very, very soon. But for now, it's just the ISS. Yes.
All right. Okay. I heard you said very few countries. I think you've already counted them by with your fingers, so there are not so many. So if human space flight is so expensive and it's so difficult for countries to get involved, does it really have much impact, like in our day-to-day lives? How can we say human space flight has, you know, benefited us in any way? How is it important? Yeah.
You know, the first thing I would say is you and I won't be talking with each other now, laughing at each other and smiling at each other from thousands of miles away without some of the benefit of human space flight. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
The research, the experience, the journey of activities in the space industry that has brought us from over 50 years ago up to this present moment is now taken with so much levity, so much, you know, you know, like it's a normal thing. It's not a normal thing. You can probably remember, maybe you don't, of sending files worth 1 MB, 1 megabyte, and it takes forever. I don't know how many of you had computers that, you know, like those box computers, the CPUs and all, and you put in your floppy disk. You know, it takes forever to do all those things. Now we can just connect our phones, connect everything. Now, this is the thing. We can all say, yeah, we could have done all those things by just focusing on satellites, sending satellites to space, sending rovers to asteroids, and so many things like that. But the extra safety that has had to do with, you know, human space flight has led to so many projects, you know, because the communication has to be good, the navigation has to be flawless, you know, the robotics of the flight, of maintenance, of everything have to be intact. That so many research has gone into space that has really helped propel our future up to this point that we have now, that we are now living better. We have better connectivity. We are moving easily. We have better navigation, like better navigation in the majority of what we do now. A lot of apps are using navigation from so many satellites. We have better access to security, better Earth observation. We can look at the Earth in so many different ways, better ways, you know, with even better, more clearer information as to what we need for Earth observation. You know, so many things that has to do with the society. Even we watch football matches. So many people cry out when you know, before, sometimes when we were using directly the cable networks, when the TV skips and then you see all those colors come up. You know, now we have better connectivity. So many things that has gone into our society, the health system, even the robotics. Some of us, we eat chocolate. We do a lot of things, right? And some of these things are made by robots, robotic arms in the lab. Majority of these things are offsets of research that started in the space industry. Even cars, even there won't be any electric vehicle today without majority of the research of space industry. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot that has to do with our society now that we are enjoying, because there has been so many hours of work, of research in human space flight, because of the extra safety that has to do with it, that has now offset into the society, the rest of the society.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Case made. This was caught. You win flawlessly. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we get the idea. I get the idea, and I think our audience is also getting the whole idea and the picture of why this is so important. So let's come back home. Let's come back home. What do you think about the status of the African space industry generally? Like, where are we at the moment? A few countries have launched satellites, and I think we have about 44 now across the continent. But in your own personal opinion, what do you think? Where are we in the sector in Africa?
So I'll be fair with you. We are really far behind. We talk about an entire continent with a lot of billionaires. A lot of big countries with finances, and we have just 44.
Well,
you make 44 sound like a big number, but it's a small number. And even if we look at this 44, majority of them are from the early 2010s or the late 2009,
yes.
whatever. So majority are from early 2010s. We are not having like countries are sending satellites to space almost every 2 months, almost every 3 months. You get what I'm saying? There are countries that have hundreds of satellites in space. Just one country, and an entire continent of Africa, we have just 44. And we have just 11 countries that have really done something really, really good. So as of now, we are not doing much. It sounds like we are doing a lot, but really we are not doing much. We are surviving on the generosity of other countries, of other continents. That's what is keeping Africa surviving in terms of space research and space fair. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, you were very honest in your opinion about how we are doing so far. Do you think you can just point out the specific challenges that that led to the present status of the African space sector? I know we have a lot of problems in Africa, but when it comes to space, what are those issues that you think is really influencing the fact that we are behind? What's holding us back?
Well, let me say everything stems from governmental focus.
Okay.
We look at any of these countries that have gone so far, the US, the Russia, the China, the Japan, the India, the combination of the European Space Agency as a whole continent, everybody has had a very structured governmental focus. The government wanted to do something. So when the government wanted to do something, they set out a plan, they set out a focus, they look for the team, or they set out institutions that can enable teams to come up. Private individuals, students, young professionals, the old ones, the experienced ones, the young ones, it starts from the government. And our government of Africa, our focus are very much in a different direction. We are so engaged in so many other things that we are not focused on the future. I'm not saying this to any direct government in particular, but that is the order of the day. When I tell you, if a government of a country, or if a government of a country, I'm from Nigeria, you're from Nigeria. If our government today says that before the end of 2030, we want to have our own launch pad in Kano or Katsina or Jigawa or wherever we want to put it in the north, because that is closer to the equator. If we want to have our launch pad there before the end of the decade, because when we have our launch pad, one of the major key factors of a space flight is you need a launch pad. When you have a launch pad, it gives a very good ground for you to do research, for you to make launches, to send rockets and fail, and learn, relearn, and make more research. If we say we want to do it before the end of this decade, we put the funds down, we put the resources down, you put a non-changing mission, a goal, and you put people at work. I tell you, there are so many Nigerians that have the brains. We are all everywhere. I'm saying it. We are all everywhere. There are Nigerians that have the brain that can do it. And also for so many other African countries. I know of Ghanaian friends, they are doing well. They've launched satellites, they've done well, but they are not in Ghana. Majority of them are somewhere else in the world. That's how we are in every part of the world, in Mauritius, in Sierra Leone, in South Africa. South Africa is still doing well, but the government has not given us a goal to go with, and the environment is not even suitable. Probably if you want to do something now in the commercial space flight or sending a satellite to space, your barrier to entry is too high. The government is not even supporting. There's not like a proper funding yet allocated that we encourage you, we will support you. If you fail, we are here to support you. Even if you don't fail, at least to bring your ideas from just whatever idea you have to reality, or even to buy satellites and reverse engineer. Nothing is there. You get what I'm saying? So it has to start from the government. I trust in my people. I trust in my people and in a lot of people in Africa that we have the brains. That if there's any one thing I know is that we have the brains. We have the brains, we have the capability. We just need the resources and the leading factor to help guide, and help encourage with the environment too, because the environment doesn't help. There's a lot of bureaucratic. If we start, we can start and continue on that for hours, the bureaucratic of the continent. But that's the leading factor, that's the leading factor.
So in a sum, your position is that we have a government apathy and there's lack of resources. But I think if we speak to the government, they'll also complain about resources and funding. So I don't know.
So for me, in terms of funding, I don't think we need a lot of funding.
Okay.
Because I just said, Africa is a country with a lot of money. And we always find money for what we want to use money for. Believe it or not.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Believe it or not, we find money for what we want to use money for. If we want to get 80 billion to make lead pencil, we will get it. If we want to get 120 billion to just plant a tree at the back of a vineyard, we'll get it. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And to make a start of, because the space industry is not just something you arrive at, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey that goes from generations to generation. The success of what we have in the majority of the countries today, they're not just what they have arrived at. In fact, the majority of the people that started the journey are not there right now. They've passed on the knowledge, they've passed on the hard work to so many other people. They are just supervising with experience.
Okay.
So it's not just something that you arrive at. We have researchers, we have the brains, we have people that can supervise the work, that can, channel the resources, the brains of the younger ones to get the result. So it's not just about the money. And I'm sure we can partner with countries, the proper countries, let me put it that way. Not just any country, the right countries that I want to partner. There are companies that want to partner with other companies in Africa. They don't know how to, they don't know the approach to go to, they don't know which government is going to support them. And so there are resources out there that we can leverage on before we even start talking about the money. The money here is the last thing to talk about. I tell you that I'm serious. The money here is the last thing. At the end of the day, if you draft out the project goal, you draft out the resources, you draft out what you want to do, you draft out who are the people you're going to reach out to, what are the ways you're going to do them. The finances come last. And I tell you, when a goal is set clearly, when people know what you want to do, when you are putting your resources, your mindset to doing it, finances is easy. For this continent, I believe that. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, I think I may have to agree. So that consistently we've had conversations about money. because the problem always seems to be money. Okay,
the problem is not money.
Okay. In your opinion, do you think, let's say we are able to convince a particular space agency in Africa, or the African Space Agency? Yeah, that brings me to the African Space Agency. Is there any possibility of human spaceflight in the continent in the next 10 years, say from the African Space Agency platform? Or do you think most countries, like advanced countries like South Africa, would like to, go on a solo mission? In terms of human spaceflight, how do you think it's going to look like in the next 10 years?
So I know for the major active players of the space exploration in Africa, there are three major countries. You have, let me put it four, but three major ones. You have Nigeria, you have South Africa, you have Ghana. You can put Ethiopia or any other of those countries there. But Nigeria, South Africa and Ghana. And I can say Nigeria has a goal 2030 to send one man human being to space. South Africa is doing a lot to put themselves out there to get somebody in space. Actually, South Africa has at least had someone from their country go to space, even though the person might have dual citizenship and is a South African, a British South African. I think his name is Mark Shuttleworth. He's the CEO of a company called Konica or Kononica, I think. But he is the only person that has a direct African, birth that has gone to space. But putting that aside, I know South Africa is doing a lot. They partner with NASA to have a ground station for the deep space mission. But to do anything in space, and to answer your question directly, I won't say never, but the way we are going right now, the only thing that can get an African to space is if there's a collective goal in the African space sector, led by the African Space Agency, maybe, to partner with maybe the US or maybe China or one other person to send somebody to space. But as far as we are concerned right now, we don't have human space flight capability. So it's going to take us first working within. And that journey doesn't just come in 1-2 years and you just get there. Because as of now, I don't see how the plan is already active. The plan might be on the leaves, in conversation, in a document somewhere, but it's already not yet active. So it has to already be in motion. People already have to already be working on it to get there. So as of now, I would say no directly. We have a lot more work to do. We have a lot more work to do to get it done. Maybe in the next 15 years, if we get more serious, and the next 20 years, if we get more serious. Let me say this. It is a lot of work going on in other sectors in Africa. Earth observation, there's a lot of work going on. Communication, there's a lot of work going on. Majority of the space agencies in the country are doing a lot of work, and you have professionals from everywhere in the country doing their best to promote space exploration in the country, which I must really commend, because people have really put their sweat in to make sure we are making progress. There's a lot of work that has gone on in the past decade. I'm a young boy. There are people that are older than me, 50 years, that have put sweat into making sure that we are where we are today, even having this discussion. Even one government listens to us from one place or the other. So there are people that have gone ahead of us that at least are giving us this shoulder for us to be able to talk upon. So which we must really commend their effort. But for us to go to that next level of a space flight, I think we need to start talking first about sending satellites to space almost every month, almost every 6 months, almost every year. Having our launch pad in one country or the other, we might come together and have a discussion. Do you want to put it in Kenya, or you want to put it in Ethiopia? You want to put it in Ghana, or you want to put it in Togo? We have a place properly, we want to do it. We have a set out mission of how we want to do it. We start partnering with, whichever agency we want to partner with to start training, right? We don't even have a training sector anywhere. So it's a long journey to do. And let's not kid ourselves. The European Space Agency, they don't have that capability themselves as of now, as far as they've started their own space journey, farther yet. They have a lot of astronauts that have gone to space, but they don't have that capability yet themselves to send people to space by themselves. So it's a long journey that we can't just start. I don't know whether you know about, there's a mission called the Hope-S mission. I think it was, they were supposed to build something called Hermes shuttle to send people to space. They had to abandon the project. Even the National Space and Development Agency of Japan had to abandon their project. They also have another project. They call it H11A something. So they are to, as far as you see, they have worked in developing their space capabilities. They have not even, done that themselves. They don't have that capability yet. It's in the work, it's in the channel, it's in motion, but they've not gotten there, even though they've been working for years. You get what I'm saying? So that's how far back we are in the journey to because it will be easier for us to start developing satellites, making the mistakes and getting them corrected and getting better and getting better and getting better. Like I said in the beginning, when it comes to sending human beings to space, it's a different ballgame because there's a different safety level to it. You cannot afford to make mistakes. You can't afford to get to that point that we are making guess games, because we like to guess and assume a lot. Majority of our equations are, let's assume something, something, something. We assume a lot in the continent, but we cannot say we want to send people to space and we are still not yet at that assurity level of this is what we are doing. We are sure of our work. We've done it over and over and over and over and over again. We talked about Elon Musk today. That guy is an epitome of a story of success, because now everybody talks about his success, but sometimes we forget about a lot of the journeys of failure. Years of failures, not just, and that is even having the backing of an entire spacefaring agency. That is having the backing of NASA. That is having the backing of some of the best engineers you can find, some of the best, tech system you can find, some of the best resources you can find. And it took him those years of failures. You get what I'm saying? So it's a serious matter for human space research. It's not something you just dabble into. And Nelly, we'll be having funeral upon funeral upon funeral of people. You get what I'm saying? No, I'm being sincere here. That's what we'll be doing. All of us wearing black shades every weekend. Sorry, somebody else just died. They died for the cause. We keep moving. You get what I'm saying? We want to do. I'm sure
we have to do it right. We have to do it right.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of young ones here that have the brain, they have the intellect, they have the fire within. Everybody. There's a lot of people that have the fire within that can do something, but we can't just jump there. We have to focus on developing satellites more and more and more before we even get to the stage of human spaceflight. Yes.
Wow, thank you for that very insightful and honest response. We are right on time. I don't know if anyone has any question from the audience. Feel free to just raise your hand. If you have any question that you want to ask, feel free to raise your hand and ask the question. And you can also unmute yourself. I think that's enabled. You can unmute yourself and put on your camera if you wish to do so. In the meantime, while we wait for questions, I think I have my final question. So we have young people here. I don't want to call them by name, but Peter is here, Femi is here, Omolade is here. I've personally worked with them. Victor is here, our first SJC intern from Nigeria. We're very proud. So I think what most of us would want to know, we just want to know, okay, I think there's a question. Okay. before we take the question. I would like to know what would you like to say to us? What would you say to encourage us? Because it's very discouraging. It's very discouraging sometimes trying to work in the African space industry when the industry itself is trying to sort itself out. How do we get jobs? How do we make money? There are so many questions that we want to know. We are really interested, but we also need to survive. So how do we really make a headway in the African space sector as young people?
You know what the first thing I would say is, whatever it is you want to do, just look for the people that are doing it. That's the first thing. Look for the people that are doing it. And the good news I have, though, in this industry, the good news I have is that this community is so exciting, so warm. You have good people that if you need help and you ask for help, somebody is ready to connect with you. At this point, maybe I'll preach where I am from. I'm the HR coordinator for the Space Generation Advisory Council. So number one, that's a good platform for you to connect, a good platform for you to connect with the global community, for you to be part of something bigger than yourself. Nelly, I'm probably 100,000 plus miles away from you, but my story is not complete without SJC. I am here today by the grace of God and the work of SJC and the work of those that have gone ahead of me. I'll make reference to one or two people while talking here. Mrs. Fumi Erinfolami, she was a member. She was a national point of contact before I took over, before you took over. She helped me a lot in getting to the point I am today. Professor Rabiu, Professor Babatunde Rabiu, the Chief Executive Director for the Center for Atmospheric Research, he also helped me a lot. There are people that have gone ahead that can help. And even not just in the country, even globally, there are people that have helped me. John Valegar, so many people from so many parts of the world that I have, been able to move to another level from just connecting with them and going to programs and doing a lot of things. Peter is here. We've done a lot of work together. Victor, I'm also proud of you for the work you've done. I only had good results about what you did, so I'm proud of you. Connecting with SGAC is a big thing because you are able to leverage by connecting to so many people from every part of the world. As the HR coordinator, I see a lot of things. I have a lot of friends from a lot of countries, which is a leverage for me. Like I literally can go to any country and I have somebody to talk to. And that is a big factor. So connect to SJC if you're not yet part of SJC. It's a free organization. Leverage as much as possible. SJC was the first organization that got me out of the country. A major key factor of my career. You get what I'm saying? So let's use SJC. That is one big deal. We can definitely leverage by also, not looking at your surrounding. If I start my story, we will not end. We will not end. The journey of everybody's success is beyond your surrounding. It's beyond your surrounding. I will say it again. It's beyond your surrounding. It doesn't matter if you don't have anything. It doesn't matter if you have 0 kobo in your account. It's beyond your surrounding. The fact of hoping against hope, because from where we are, the standpoint of where we are, we have to do extra than those that are in the developed countries. Let's not kid ourselves. We have to do extra. We have to. You have to read extra. You have to work extra. You have to do extra. And the same thing for all our government out there. For us to ever be close to sending any human to space, we have to do extra. We are like tons of years behind. We have to do extra. So be ready to do extra. Be ready to go the extra mile. But know that there are people that you can always reach out to. Be ready to call for help. Be ready to reach out for help. Be ready to knock on doors. That's we can sit down on another call and privately talk, maybe on another time, and have conversation about a lot of career things and things like that. I see Obi on the line. Is also a great person. There are so many people in so many parts of the world now that we can connect to, that we can leverage on. The space community, I can hardly tell you, you have less people that are going to reject you in the space community from talking to you than you have in so many other sectors. If you reach out to somebody in the space community about something, I am 60% sure that person is going to respond to you. It might not be immediate, but they're going to respond to you. So be ready to do the extra work. That's just a summary. And there are possibilities out there. We'll talk about that, a lot of that on another.
Yeah, I think all I heard was extra work. Extra work just kept resounding.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your sincerity and just talking to us from your hearts, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think there's a question from, oh, it's a very long question. Tell me if you don't mind, you can just raise your hand and ask the question. It looks very long. I don't think, and it's like a sentence. I don't know. Are you there? Okay. Let me just read it out.
I actually read the question already.
Okay, great.
To answer the
Great. Okay, please.
So majority of us might not know, Elon Musk is originally from South Africa before he moved to Canada, before he got to the US. So my brother has been on a long journey before he got to where he is right now. So to talk about, to talk about, he said it's not where he is. To talk about what companies you can partner with, there's a lot of companies as a startup, if you're trying to work, as a startup, there's a lot of companies that we can partner with in the US, in Europe, and so many other parts of the world that are ready to provide you with modules or tools, but they would be looking towards how they can also be active in what you're doing. But just like we said, it has to do with the extra work. But there are companies out there. There is Human Space. They are looking for many ways now to get into Africa. There's what's the name? There's a lot of companies. Names are not coming to my head right now, but there are lots of companies out there that you can partner with, you can talk to if you have projects that you can connect with. And like I said, you can also connect with more people on the SGSC platform, because you have people that have to do with the law, people that have to do with space policy and law, you have to do with life sciences, space medicine and life sciences, you have to do with space sustainability, you have to do with commercial space, you have to do with cyber security, so many things that you might want to do. You at least can connect with people already and they are in different companies in the world, globally, in Europe, in US, and so many other places, in Canada, and so many other places, that you can partner and connect with them. So leverage on SGSC. I have to preach the organization I'm also representing. So leverage on SGSC. Definitely there's a lot you can gain from there. And definitely there's a lot of companies you can also connect with if you do more research too. Time might not permit us to discuss more details about list of companies right now, but there's a lot we can talk about privately too.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't think we have further questions, and I don't know if we have any other contributions to the conversation. That would be nice. But I think Abraham has covered the field. He has definitely touched almost every area of the conversation, and he did that with ease. I really want to appreciate you for coming on the conversation today. On behalf of Space of Africa, we are really, really, really happy you made the time to come and have this conversation with us. And I want to really thank everybody for showing up on very short notice. And I think this was very interesting. So yes, we have the recording, so we'll put it up on YouTube for those who came late, and you could just watch the video next time online. So thank you so much, everybody. I think we are right on time, and we've come to the end of the session. Thank you very much again, Abraham. I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. Just in closing, I would like to give special recognition to everybody.
Okay.
I not see your name, but thank you for attending this session. And definitely please Don't give up on your dreams, please. Let's not give up on our dreams. We can do more to hold each other's hand to make sure we move forward. We all collectively move forward, because our individual success also helps to collectively help us succeed. So please don't give up on your dreams. If you need help, ask for help. It's never too much. Ask for help. The first person might not respond to you. The second person might not respond to you, but please keep knocking the door. Somebody will respond to you. I look forward to seeing everybody some other time. Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Ciao.